It's the Finance Committee normal meeting on Tuesday. Today's March 11th. And we are being recorded by WCAT, our local cable access channel. And if there's anyone who happens to be with us that wants to record, just be sure to let us know that before you do. And so, on that note, we have, has everyone had a chance to look at minutes from last week?
Yes,
I did too, and so I'll wait a motion to accept those.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from
Okay, and we'll second that.
March 3rd.
I'm second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, aye as well, and so we have minutes accepted from last week's meeting. And so we're gonna go right into our review of this upcoming fiscal year's budget, and I'm gonna turn it over to Madeline to
Oh,
take
not
us.
up to me, it's up to you now.
Oh, okay, okay.
They wanted, the library wanted to come in.
Okay, so just so for those who are watching, normally we have new submissions, and apparently we don't have anything new. We're still awaiting a few outstanding budgets, but we're gonna pause here just for 1 second, let our town administrator join us here. Welcome, Jim.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you, sir. And so apparently there's no new budgets that have been submitted since last week. We normally would kind of look at those.
The selectmen's have been submitted.
I don't have it.
Okay, we didn't get
Didn't I give it to
anything.
you?
Yeah,
You wanted it back, I didn't make any
Okay,
copies.
all right.
yeah, and I know it's pending
I submitted an
uh,
addendum.
insurance
And that-
approvals,
Yeah.
but, so if there's no new submissions right now, we did need to,
The selectmen would be the newest one.
Right,
okay,
but we're
we'll
not gonna
come,
do it till next week,
we'll come back to
because I
that.
offered to make copies.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll come back to that. So we have representation from our fire department and from the Warren Library here. And so we're gonna invite Barbara Larkin up to go over some of the library submittals.
I just need that.
It's happened today, so. And then I gave you the new ones that you submitted there.
Yep. And this here.
This is it, right? That's it.
This here, okay.
I had submitted an addendum after we had heard the changes in the medical insurance, so that's the change. So it's, our proposal or request is $57.45 for health insurance rather than $5,000.
It's amazing how everything, insurance is going through the ceiling right now.
That was the only update, Barbara?
That was the only update.
Okay. And
The library had met with Jim a couple weeks ago, and he had informed us that the library, not the library, the medical insurance was increasing across the board, and so that I went to Dawn and got the exact figures, and they are
Right
there.
up in line.
And we pay half of health and dental for one employee.
And so, anyone have any questions or comments about what's been submitted?
Well, she wanted to come, I figured she assumed she wanted to talk to us about something, she requested to
Okay.
come.
Oh, well, it's always a good thing to come and to lay out, you have the same thing?
Reasonings.
Because I think I sent an updated copy to you as well.
I didn't get one, no.
Well, I
Okay.
sent one to you.
All right.
Alright.
This is the updated one, okay.
Yeah, so the difference, so our budget is pretty level funded. We have built into it a 3% increase for staff. And everything else was basically what our bills are.
That's the only difference.
All right, thank
With
you.
the exception of, we added $2,000 for building maintenance, since we have so many things that, need to be done to the building. And also, we are going to be, celebrating our 150th anniversary, in 2026. And we added $2,000 to programming and events to hopefully help bring in some speakers and some celebrations for the entire town. So that does raise our budget a bit, but we were hopeful that we would be able to, help you deal with those, so. And I know there are a lot of, other expenses, going on with the town right now that are coming up at the same time, so it does make it
Unfortunately.
difficult. And we do need to have at least a 2.5% increase in order to receive state aid and remain credentialed as a library, so that all the accoutrements of the library can be used by the individuals in the town. If we didn't receive that state aid, people would not be able to go to other libraries. They would not be able to borrow books from anywhere in the Commonwealth. So that's important. We had a contractor come out and do some looking at the building and doing some estimates on mostly the outside of the building yesterday. And this is for the repointing of the outside of the surfaces, the steps which need pointing and some repair, and the back wall. And we don't have a complete quote on that, but that's gonna be somewhere between $15,000 and $20,000, which sounds like a lot of money, but not in
I
these
know,
days.
I
Ask her
know.
about it.
You're right.
I can make copies after.
So that's, I didn't know what questions you had for me.
I don't have anything.
Barbara, are any of your budgeted expenditures like electricity or fuel, any of those things, are any of those accounts, overfunded or underfunded right now, or are they pretty much on track with what you budgeted?
The only thing ironically, we might have a little bit of leeway in is our fuel, because, we haven't gotten, we put in a new furnace last fall.
Right.
And it seems to be
More efficient.
more efficient, so that's about the only place that we might have. Everything else is basically what our bills are.
Been in accordance with your
Yeah,
budget?
we really don't pay electricity or sewer or trash or any of that. It's all exactly what our bills are. But fuel might be our only place where it might not be as high as it was last
So
year.
is that like you used half of it? You're on a spend rate that is consistent with what you budgeted for?
A little-
is-
We
so-
we haven't gotten another, we usually get 3 or 4 deliveries. We're
Okay.
down a delivery, but it'll
It's
come.
just not due yet.
It'll
Okay.
come, yeah.
Just checking,
Yeah.
just, if you'd only spent $2,000 this year, you know.
It would be
that-
nice.
You might be able to shift a little bit of that, but if it's not the case,
Yeah.
then, okay.
I mean, and that would be probably the only leeway we would have.
Okay,
Some things we are, the CW Mars, where that's an obligation we must pay. The books and magazines are a percentage of what our budget would be. I believe it's 19%. We can do a little less if depending upon what we get from the town, but that's,
Okay.
it's a calculation based on what we get from the town. Programming and events, I said that's where we're looking for some more revenue, to do some more programming and to really celebrate. And 2026, it overlaps two fiscal years, so we would be doing it sort of into the next fiscal year as well. And we're just hopeful for that, that's all I could say. Because a speaker is easily $500 per speaker.
okay. Do you have anything else, or that's about it?
Nope, you have any other questions?
Questions, comments? Anyone?
No, it looks like you've provided us with the circulation materials you had, in last fiscal year, you had.
Yeah, Kim gave them to us for,
Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt too, but Kim thought it would be best to give a whole year
Yeah.
rather than a half year, and that's,
So
you know,
you
the
get
last whole year.
10,896 materials that were circulated, and then you had, that was for last fiscal
Yeah.
year, and then 3,717 patrons who visited the library.
Yep, and the only way, who visited and took out materials.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you have registered users, that's people who have the library card, is
Yeah.
it,
1,012,
1,012, right?
and that number goes up every year, because
All right,
okay,
thank you, Barbara.
thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
You didn't bring Rosie with you today.
No. We weren't even on the outside here today, we went in another
Oh,
direction.
okay.
See you later. Okay,
Bye.
thank you.
You're welcome, thank you. Adam, you wanna join us? We're gonna look at your budget now. We'll let you start if you
Sure.
have anything you wanna go over.
Thank you for having me, anyone watching, Adam LeBoy, Fire Chief. I submitted 2 budgets for review for the Finance Committee and the Town Administrator. The first one is, what was asked was a level services budget. It resulted in just under a 3% increase, and I think it was a total of $24,000, roughly 22,000 of that was salary or salary or contract related, so it was really tied up in that. So as you can see, anything that changed, I highlighted in yellow as I've done in the past, just so that it stands out. I added 3% to the fire department. This is the call salaries. I moved a few line items around to make things kind of come out and really leave the budget where it needs to be, minus those adjustments for the new wage scale and whatnot. So there really isn't very many surprises there, you know, and not a whole lot to really look at. I reduced a couple of line items and moved money to, historically, over the last couple of years, we haven't used quite as much as what was in that account, for a couple of different reasons. So, you know, I tried to even those budgets out by kind of moving them around. The biggest change was in overtime. I find myself running short on the overtime a little bit due to additional holidays and stuff that have been added, so I've just accounted for that. But basically, you're looking at a level services budget that's under 3%. The second budget that I, got any questions on that? The second budget that I submitted, and I understand that this is coming at a tough time, you know, at the time where I started devising this, I, you know, at the time didn't realize that the, you know, school was up for negotiations as well as the Patrolmen's Association and the insurance is going up. But I thought it was worthwhile bringing it to the Finance Committee for review. This would result in an overall 8% increase from FY '25 to FY '26. However, it would really change the dynamic of what we do in the fire department. It would allow us to run 2 firefighter EMTs 24/7, which is kind of where our call volume is at this point. You know, we went up by 15% last year, which is by far the biggest percentage we've ever gone up. It's not going back down. It's been steadily climbing and climbing. It would allow us to hire 2 more firefighter EMTs to hopefully run 2 around the clock and have them stay at the station, as opposed to what we currently do now, which is staff the station only from 7 AM to 11 PM. Everyone from, you know, myself included, we do calls on the overnight. We have to go to the station, we have to get the truck, especially in the wintertime. It results in, you know, delayed call response. So this would allow us to operate that. A lot of the money that would go towards funding the 2 full-time positions is coming out of the call firefighter line items, so it kind of makes up for a lot of that. Obviously, we'd have to pay for, you know, health insurance and stuff like that, but I felt it's time, because of the call volume and where our percentages are going, it was time to have that discussion with the powers that be. I understand it's a tough budget season right now, but I felt, you know, we should at least have the discussion.
What would the work hours be?
So we would be moving to 24-hour shifts with that calculation, so you would do more than likely, which is what most departments do at this point, so you'd have more than likely, we would have to amend the bylaw. I talked to Jim about this, for the fire department, that says their normal work week would be 48 hours instead of 40, so they would not be getting 8 hours of overtime each week. So we would have to do an
So they
amendment.
would or wouldn't be getting?
Would not be getting overtime.
Okay, so I'm okay,
Yeah.
so how many people are, so they work 2 days, 24?
They would be, that, the proposal would be they'd probably work 24 on, 24 off, 24 on, and 4 days off, and it would just
24
continue to
on.
rotate.
24,
Yeah.
24 off,
Yep,
24 on, and 4 days off.
Yeah, it would continually rotate around, but it would allow us to fill those shifts
And it would be
around
2
the clock.
people on at all
2
times.
people, 2 firefighter EMTs. Obviously, there would still have to be some on-call stuff when people call out if they're on vacation. You know, people filling different shifts. We'd still need some part-time people to do different shifts and fill in for that, but it would change the dynamic in the model that we currently have and allow us to staff overnight as well. You know, as you said, the last couple of years, it's getting harder and harder us to have on-call people. It's just not nearly as attractive for people to just stay in town for next to nothing and, you know, get paid per call. It's just getting harder to cover that. And, you know, quite honestly, there's a delay. I mean, it takes 15, you know, sometimes 10, 15 minutes, depending on weather, for us to get to the station, another 10 minutes to respond to some of the outer, you know, to the outskirts. So, I mean, you're talking 20 to 25 minutes for someone waiting for an ambulance sometimes, especially in the winter, while we're trying to get out the door. So, you know, this is the way the department's always been run. It's always been, the call volume has always been enough where it's like, you know, it wasn't worth it. But at this point, we're doing, you know, anywhere from 1,300 plus calls a year. It's jumped from 500 to 600 just 5-6 years ago to doubling that amount now, and it's just, there seems to be no end to that trend. And like I said, this was a 15% increase just this last year alone, so it's getting harder to manage with on-call. I mean, do I believe we could float another year getting by with doing it this way? Yeah, I mean, I do think so, and I understand, again, it's a tough budget, but at some point, the town's gonna have to really
Bite the bullet.
consider this. I mean, the police run 2 full-time staff on the overnights every night. I mean, it really makes no sense at this point that we're not there and ready to go.
but they don't work 24 hours a day.
No, they do not, no, but the other side of this you have to consider is that we continually lose people, and one of the real reasons that's happening is, number one, salary. It's a little lower, but it's increasing a little bit with the wage scale, which is good, and my employees are very happy about that. The other problem is that all these other departments that are offering 24-hour shifts, they're stealing everyone from the ones that aren't, because no one wants to work 8 and 16-hour shifts when they can work 2 days a week, 24 hours on each one of those shifts, and have another job on the side, doing a few days of this, that, and the other thing. So unfortunately, because the fire service in general does this now with full-time employees, it really hurts the towns that aren't doing it, because they're losing those employees to towns that are, unfortunately.
That's a big problem with this, with a lot of things.
Yeah.
I just have a quick general comment.
Sure.
Certainly want to commend you, Adam, you do a great job.
Thank you.
And I appreciate the initiative to, you're always looking forward, you're always looking to advocate for your department and your personnel. And it's very commendable, and you can't, you know, it sounds like a broken record, I know you get this every year.
It's true though.
And then,
No,
so there's the,
Yeah.
so there's the nice comment
Yeah,
before
yeah,
the but.
Yeah.
And
so-
it never
but-
hurts to ask.
No, and in all seriousness, you do a great job, and I like the initiative that you take to try to do the very best you can. But I just have to say, because of the financial situation, especially this year, we probably, I probably can't be supportive of the full-time positioning. I hear the plight.
Yeah. No, I understand.
I hear the
get it.
plight.
I get it.
And there's just a reality that, right, if we were a little bit bigger of a community, that you know, that really did, you can justify that 24-hour cycling, full-time, 24/7 coverage. And it's just a sad reality that we're not there. I
Yeah.
don't feel we're there and so there's a cost to it. We lose those, we have those delay times for the things that come in.
Oh, and I understand, you're absolutely right, I totally understand your argument, I will just, you know, simply say that, you know, as I've said many times, the day is coming where I'm going to have to tell the selectmen and the town administrator and the board that, look,
You gotta
I
do it.
don't have any more people that are
Mhm.
willing to do this,
Yeah.
okay? Because it is kind of a silly, antiquated thing, I mean, you get paid $5 an hour to stay in town, you can't leave, you can't go anywhere, and maybe you'll get $60 to go on a call. I mean, it's,
Yeah.
that is no longer attracting anyone to do it. So like I said, I just don't wanna, you know, I just try to be honest and upfront that that's the battle I'm facing. And while we have good enough, again, I'm covering calls when others can't and staying back and everything, and we're doing it. But that day is going to come where people are gonna say, this doesn't make any sense, I can't do this. And I have so few call EMTs that are doing that, it's gonna collapse. So that day will come at some point, and we may be forced into that situation, but if you look at straight call volume compared to other communities, I just know that we're there. This is
Yeah.
this is where providing the coverage is. I mean, I can't think of besides one other community right now that is actually still running on the on-call. At least, I know we're doing it on one shift, but there's almost
Nobody's
nobody
doing it.
that's doing this anymore, because it doesn't make sense, because there aren't enough providers to do it, so. You know, could we survive another year? Yeah, we probably could, but, you know, it's not gonna go much longer, because people are getting burned out, we're doing so many calls, so many of them are mental health related and everything else. The new EMTs coming on just don't have the same drive to go and do that over and over and over again, and it's unfortunately without being paid full-time, I should say, so. So we'll continue to do the best we can, and I appreciate your comments, and I completely understand where you're coming from, especially when you look at the school and you look at, I do think we're gonna have a massive budget come
Unfortunately,
forward to us this year.
everybody, things we have no control over,
Yeah.
are huge increases this
Yeah,
year.
yeah, no, I understand that, so believe me, I get it, and I understand.
Well, I just want to be clear, that was just my personal comments.
Yeah.
There's two other people here, and unfortunately Priya, we have another
Yes,
member of the team,
yeah,
Priya,
Jim told me.
was
He's ill.
not able to attend with us this week. So, anyone else have comments, questions?
No, I just think I think it's very important to push for it.
Mhm,
I think this is the worst year
mhm.
because of all the things that we have no control over.
Yeah, no, and again,
Yeah.
I appreciate those comments, and I
Mhm.
figured that would kind of be the, you know, how things would end up playing out with all the kind of unknowns right now, especially, you know, not knowing where the school's budget is going. So I just still felt I should bring it forward,
Yeah.
so that
Yeah,
you
I
weren't
think it's smart.
blindsided,
Yeah.
and we had the conversation, and, you know, we can at least know that that's the direction
Yeah.
that we're hoping to head, you you know, so that we can provide a better service.
Yeah.
I also want to just throw in the additional comment that I do appreciate, you're always prepared, you've always got good explanations, even if we challenge things or have questions about them. You do a good job helping us to help you, so to speak.
Thank you.
So I certainly appreciate that. Madeline, did you have anything you wanted to add to this? So that was all just about, you know, it sounds like maybe we're probably not gonna be supportive of that full-time position submittal. And so going back to the 2.9%
Mr. Chairman?
level funded, yeah, absolutely, go ahead, Jim.
If I may,
Sure.
you know, one thing that, you know, these are, as the committee has indicated, we all know that this is gonna be a very challenging year. You know, having discussions with Adam, and, you know, there's an opportunity, it's something that I'm not really keen about, but in the future, maybe we could take a look at, is there's grants that are out there that would allow us to hire additional staff, you know, but, you know, the grants will run out, and then it will be the town's, you know, responsibility to pick up that, you know, that coverage of that. That would be something in the future that we could definitely look at. I'm not really keen on filling positions with grants because of that. You know, towns have a, you know, are typical of kicking the can down the road of not funding or putting money away for when the grant expires and now you have to pay the full boat.
Right.
So it's not always the best idea because we don't know what the financial picture will look like 2 or 3 years down the road. But that is an option, and that's something that Adam and I had a conversation about that maybe we could explore a little bit, you know, in the future. One other thing that I may mention that either Adam or the board may want to consider, because this is a whole potentially new dynamic service that we would be providing the town, 24-hour coverage from the fire department. You know, you may want to put out there a non-binding question this time around to kind of get the flavor of where the townspeople are, if they're interested in having this service, you know, in the future, not necessarily this year, but in the future, so that we could potentially plan for that moving forward. I don't know, that's just a thought.
That's probably a good idea, because obviously, the town really decides. We're just trying to do a little bit of preemptive work to,
Just to expand upon what Jim said, that grant he's referring to is called the SAFER grant. It's a grant that there are
SAFER,
SAFER, S-A-F-E-R. It's basically, it allows it's a FEMA grant, similar to the one we got, the same similar program to like our hose grant that we got. It's supplied by FEMA, it's under the Assistance to Firefighters grant. Towns of Rutland, Paxton, Spencer, all of them have been successful in getting these grants over the last few years. I think we would probably have a good chance of being successful, and basically what it does, you submit the grant and it pays for the salaries for the 3 years.
for 3 years.
Yeah, 3 years, and then the town slowly will pick it up after that. So it's not something I've ever applied for. I think we'd be a good candidate for that with our numbers and everything. It's just that, again, there's that commitment, and I would never do that without approval and support from all the finance boards, because again, you're left holding the bag at the end of the day, whether it's 3 years from now or not. So, is it a way to get people in there, quick? Yes, but the town would have to sustain that after a certain amount of time. There have been towns that have had to lay people off because they ended up not being able to afford them and everything at the end. So I certainly wouldn't want to see that, so I definitely agree that if we want to go that route, we want to apply the next time that grant comes around, which will be in about 6 months or so. We should probably have a yay or nay whether or not we want to go ahead and do that.
Then it makes a lot of sense then to put a non-binding on the warrant.
To see
To
if
get-
see
right,
if the
because
townspeople wanna
if
have
the-
that service.
Yeah, because you'd want to, if it went down 3-1, you probably don't want to plan on this if it's not going to get supported, because then you end up with the battle.
Yeah.
If it's 50-50, then maybe it's time to really push for it. And obviously, if it was, favorable, then maybe it would make sense to maybe
Well,
really dive into it.
What I would suggest maybe is if you put it on an agenda item for an upcoming meeting, so we can have a discussion with the
Yeah.
selectmen, explain
Yeah,
what the
'cause
grant
that's-
is and
Right.
kind of what's going on here and let them make a decision before, and see where that is. Because I think, like I said, if you look at the numbers, honestly, to hire 2 more people and to provide that kind of a service with only an 8% increase is actually pretty good. But because the
Well, but
majority.
You don't have the benefits included.
Well, I understand it, I mean, and you're probably going another 25,000 on top of that. with benefits. However, still, if you look at it, a vast majority of that came directly out of the existing budget, because we just cut
Shifting,
the cost
shifting
stuff.
shifts.
So, it's not like you're adding $150,000 to it, you're adding a relatively small
Yeah,
amount. The only other thing that I would bring to the attention of the finance committee under the just less than 3% increase, I'd like to just have a quick conversation about the advanced life support line item. The reason I'm asking for this is because this one has constantly been overrun. And it's requiring transfers or articles every single year. I level funded it because that's what they asked for, with a level services budget, but historically, over the last couple of years, I'm right in the $65,000 range each year.
Oh.
It's only funded for 50,000, so for the last, I think, Jim, 3-4 years, I've been asking for transfers and everything. The reality is, I think we just really need to understand that this is where it is. So I would ask the finance committee to be supportive of just putting it where it really should be, so I can avoid transfers and that kind of nonsense in the future, knowing it's gonna happen. We've already transferred, right now, at this point, I've transferred from 50,000 at the level funded, I've transferred 10,000 at the special town meeting in November, and I'm asking for another 5,000 in the special town meeting this year, so it's bringing it to
Where did
65,000
the 10,000 come from?
from the town
Yeah, but
vote.
Was it a line transfer or you got it from?
It was a
Okay.
regular article.
Okay.
What I will say is, a lot of times we don't end up even getting billed, and if you look, I have to encumber it every year, and half the time it goes back to the town anyways, but the point is, I know that we could have those bills hanging out there, so I can't not, ask for the money, because if they do bill us the full amount, or we do get a thing, that's where it's gonna be at. So I would just ask, if the finance committee would support being in that realm, because we kinda know that's what's gonna happen. And the evidence is there showing that we've had to do that over the last couple of years.
Did you submit your special town meeting article?
I did.
Yeah,
I
okay,
had those 2 articles, so one of the advanced life support, 2 more sets of gear.
okay, yeah.
So if you were okay with it, even if we brought it to 60,000, it would put us in a better ballpark than the 50, because I know that's not gonna be enough.
Are you checking on something, Madeline?
Yeah, I'm just looking.
Okay.
I mean,
I mean, if-
it's a funky line item, because I don't have control over it. It all depends on what we have for severity of calls. And again, you look at it, and there's a whole bunch of encumbrances on there that end up getting turned back to the town. But it doesn't mean that we didn't owe the money to do it. We just didn't get all those bills.
Well, it looks like last year was 56.8 with the encumbrance.
Yeah.
So,
And those prices are going up, so I know, unfortunately, they are changing, so again, putting it at the 60 or at least, or 65,000 would really be a much better number for next year, and hopefully I would not have to have any more articles or transfers for that line item, which would be a huge headache that I wouldn't have to do each year.
I don't have a problem increasing it to the 60.
I mean,
Or
if
you
you-
just redo your budget to reflect that.
I don't even.
I can.
Okay.
And
To
just-
60?
Mhm.
Okay.
And just resend it, put it in your box?
Put it in the box.
So just add 60,000
Could
to
you
the total.
send me that
Sure.
too, Adam?
Yep.
you're not really violating the level service because you're there already.
Yeah,
It's
that's,
just-
Yeah.
and that's the
Point.
thing, is that, that's why I wanted to bring it to your attention, because we're doing it anyways, we just haven't been on paper.
Oh, don't worry about it.
Do you have your list of your articles in there too?
I
I didn't
don't.
get, I think I might have misplaced.
I emailed them to
Oh,
you.
you did?
Yeah,
Is it-
By before the 6th, yeah, I
On
emailed
the
you
6th?
before, it was
Before,
before
okay.
the due date. I don't
Yeah.
remember exactly what day it was, but there's only 2 articles, they're
Okay.
very straightforward. One of
Yep.
them is that exact thing, and the other one is, I have 2 more employees coming on, so I need to buy some turnout gear for them. So, that was the 2 articles I put on for the special.
Oh, you're right here, I got it.
You got it?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yes, I will, so I will redo the budget, I'll make you just one copy, Madeline?
Yeah, I'll just.
One
make-
copy, and
yeah.
I'll give one to Jim?
Yeah.
And I'll just add 10,000 to that line item if the board is willing
Yeah.
to support that, thank you.
Yeah, and then I'll just give them a copy at the next
Yeah.
meeting, so.
If I have to transfer it a little bit, I certainly will, but, you know, hopefully that'll put me at least in a better position.
I'll have a couple other questions here.
Yeah,
for you
sure.
real quick in just a second.
Absolutely.
So I think we're all good with that adjustment.
You gave it to me.
With that
Well, he
adjustment,
gave
it
it
brings
to
it
us.
from 2.9 up to 4.1, just for anyone who cares about that.
Yeah, it was with this
Yeah.
letter.
So on the sixth line down, the health and wellness, went up 3 to 6.
Yes.
What's going on there?
So, I've had ongoing problems, and Jim can attest of the company that we've been using, Cooley Dickinson out of
Northampton.
in Northampton and Amherst. They charge roughly $650 for a occupational health test that is standardized with the fire academy to get them into the fire academy, which includes a pulmonary function test, yada, yada, yada. So unfortunately, it's getting harder and harder because they've lost providers to get into them. We had to find a new place to do it. And
I don't think they're
numbers-
doing it anymore.
Yeah, exactly. So the last place that we had them we're at $1,500 per person. So in order, this would be accounting for the same exact amount of people that I've been putting through a physical to get them into the academy. So that's why, because we've literally almost doubled the price of the occupational
Okay.
screenings that they have to go through.
And that's a requirement?
That's a requirement.
Okay.
They will not accept them into the academy unless they've had a full pulmonary function test and the whole nine yards to ensure they can safely wear air packs and stuff. So that is a state mandated
Sure.
exam.
Okay. And you're heading towards the bottom, training EMT line, it's 3 up from the main box there.
Yes.
Down from 9 to 6.
Yep, so historically, I've had a couple $1,000s left in that account the last couple of years, and that's only because some of the EMTs have moved away a little bit more to the online training because of COVID. I mean, everything's online, this and that. I found that they can do some more classes online, so I haven't spent as much in-house in training. And as you can see, it fluctuates every other year. The reason for that is because every 2 years, we're required to do a full EMT refresher, and that refresher costs about $2,000. So that's why every other year I ask for a little bit more, because we know that cost is coming.
Okay, I see it
Yeah.
bounced from 9
Yeah,
to 7.
9 to 7, but I think I can live safely at
At
6
6,
for now
okay.
on,
All right,
you know.
now that you say it, I didn't look 2 columns
Yeah.
over to see that you were bouncing.
That's because we do it every 2 years,
Okay.
that's why.
All right, perfect. And then the last thing I had was just, you're right in the middle there, your ambulance call payroll, your EMS hourly shift payroll, and your ambulance training payroll. Those all got a little bit of a reduction. I just wanna make sure you're not cutting yourself short.
No,
What's-
again, I've looked at it, so again, the ambulance call payroll, that's the money that I pay people per call to go out on calls on the overnight. They go out on, and they make the $60 for EMTs and the $50 for first responders that are going out. That's how I pay them, for that. The reason I could cut that back a little bit is because this budget, I'm ahead a little bit more where I normally am, because we hired 2 more full-time firefighter EMTs in the last 2 years, which in turn, they took 40 more hours out of the schedule, and I've been able to reduce some calls,
So, okay.
call staff. So that's the reason for that. The EMS shift payroll, that's the hourly payroll, we pay part-time people. That number, 25,460, accounts perfectly for 24 hours of coverage each week, so 3 shifts, 3-day, 8-hour shifts that I have part-time people in filling different shifts in the schedule. So that accounts for 3 of those shifts. And the ambulance training payroll, again, not doing quite as much training as, not that we're not doing quite as much, we're just changing the way we do it. So they're not in-house at the station where I'm paying them to go to trainings, they're
Okay.
doing some on their own and stuff like that. So I feel comfortable reducing that a little bit.
All right. Very good. Any other questions or comments?
Nope.
Okay, so we're pushing the 50,000 for the advanced life support up to 60, and feeling good about this version of the budget.
Thank you very much, I
Okay.
appreciate that.
Thank
I
you
will
for coming.
resubmit a copy to the board, to the committee, excuse me,
Okay.
and to Jim as well.
Okay, great.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much, have a
Thank
great
you.
Thank
afternoon.
you.
Take
Thank
care,
you,
Adam.
Thanks.
Okay. We'll look at selectmen next week. It's pending the insurance numbers
Right,
anyway.
I gotta make
Yeah,
copies.
so, okay. Okay, so we've got some town articles here.
Give me the selectmen if you want, and I'll put it in here, or you want me to wait?
I can give you a copy.
Okay. Yeah, put it in the box,
Yeah.
and then I'll make you a copy of this after.
Okay.
Okay,
And so,
Yeah.
let's take a look at the special town meeting.
yeah, that's where Adams has right here.
Yeah, so we just have to incorporate Adams into this, yeah.
Oh, I saw, because he gave it.
And it looks like 3
So there's a couple
articles
more
here, but there'll be a couple more coming.
from Adam, yeah,
Okay.
he's got his.
I just saw it.
Just out of ignorance, Article 2.
Which one are we looking at?
I'm just looking at.
Special town meeting,
Special?
Special.
Oh, special,
Okay.
yeah.
there's
Are we
3 of
doing the,
them.
which one are we doing first?
Oh, whatever you.
Special
Do the
and-
special, right?
Okay.
Yep.
Then we'll get to the,
Okay.
The first one we got here is from free cash, 9,200 and change for fireworks, requested by Parks.
So, this article, is to correct an error that happened, last fiscal year. The money was accounted for, in fiscal year, '24. However, the fireworks did not happen, and the money was turned back into free cash. So, we have to, pay the balance of what the fireworks would have cost. They're gonna have the fireworks in June of this year.
that's what Sue was talking
Yes,
about, the
she
money
said
got
that.
encumbered, but
Last
it
week,
didn't get
They
carried
paid a
over.
little
Yeah.
bit to, because the guy had already packed his truck.
Right. Any issues there?
So,
Moving- Go ahead.
is the finance committee gonna recommend that one?
I don't know if we should do it now or just wait and do them all together.
Oh, okay.
I think it'd
Yeah,
be easier.
I anticipate we're gonna
Especially
recommend
for
it,
the
but
minutes, yeah.
Yeah.
we'll do them all like in a, because then we get, okay, which article was this? And if the
Yeah.
articles get renumbered.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
So
it's a
we'll
good-
do,
good idea.
but we're likely gonna recommend
Okay,
it, so.
all right.
Article 2 is the 5336 and change to pay the van pool transportation costs. I can't admit, we have to do it, it's 9/10 vote, and it's
Prior year bill, that's why
it's a
9
prior,
cents.
prior year. And so, I mean, that, there's no reason not to go forward with that,
Mhm.
so we're gonna likely recommend that. And then the third one is, okay, there's gonna be
Oh, yeah.
snow and ice deficit, which we do every year. Do you have any idea where that's at right now?
I do
I don't
not.
think it's excessive.
I think it could be in the,
So-
in the 20, I don't know, I don't
Okay.
know,
He ran out a while ago.
yeah.
Okay. All right,
And when we had a major ice storm, that was.
the last
Yeah.
go around, yeah. Okay, we'll have to wait and see what the number is.
When will he
Anything
have
else
that
on those?
number?
I would say within the next couple weeks.
Okay.
The number should be done,
Once the bills are rolling.
once the bills are all in,
Okay.
as long as we don't have any more snow events.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but he's still good, that would just be salary, but he should have got enough salt, so.
Okay.
Okay, so moving over to the,
Yeah, she has a question on the
oh,
second one.
yeah,
We're going to
We
the.
could go to the first one if you want, whatever you want.
well, I'm just,
The first one is.
first one's nothing, yeah.
Right, and-
The second one, it just, and it has nothing to do with finance committee, it just seems a little gray to me.
Well, what it is that people are elected,
Right?
like the Board of Assessors are
Mhm.
elected.
Mm-hmm.
You have the statutory under MGL to appoint assistant assessor.
Right.
You do not appoint the clerk. That
Right.
is under the Board of Selectmen because of this.
Oh,
This is
okay,
what this
okay.
is saying.
That the town could appoint them.
No, the Board of Selectmen appoint.
That's what I meant, I meant
Yes.
selectmen.
So
Oh,
like,
okay.
building and planning don't hire, Board of Health doesn't hire. And-
Okay.
I mean, basically, you know, The only other one that can hire is Adam.
Yeah,
The police
okay.
chief can't hire, the selectmen appoint them.
Yep.
And anybody else?
That's it.
Yeah,
Okay,
all the other
that makes
departments,
sense.
that's
Okay.
about it. Yeah,
Well,
but-
sewer department hires their own.
They got that, is it in the MGL?
No, it's in their special act.
Okay, so there's a legislature.
Okay. Mhm.
I'm just saying that there had to be something,
Mhm.
because otherwise it's, because this was a big mess at one town meeting, I'll tell you after, so.
I was there.
Were you, no, you weren't?
No?
No.
Not recently?
Oh, no. No.
Okay.
Okay.
So Article 3 is adopting the new wage scale.
Right.
Okay.
And I had mentioned, I think I mentioned it to Madeline, I'd like to get the wage scale printed in the FinCom book, if that's okay.
I don't have an issue.
Sure.
Okay.
And we're gonna take off 4.
4 would be
Yeah,
one.
4, yeah.
Okay.
But, now, on that note, though, what, I mean, to put the non-binding question out there.
But that's
That's-
something for the selectmen to do.
Yeah, okay. 5.
So the sewers got their budget?
Oh, 5, just.
Yes.
I don't
standard
have
issue.
Yeah, okay.
So that's their amount, but we haven't got it yet. Jim's got it,
Yeah.
so we'll have sewer next time.
I questioned that amount because it's like it's like $400 less than what they did last year, so I don't know how that's possible.
Well, did they give you the breakdown?
Yeah, they did,
Right, then that's
You
what we
talking
need to
about
look
Article
at.
6?
yes.
Yeah.
And I asked Ralph about that, he's supposed to look into it today, so.
So, I want to get something.
Okay, so 7's just their.
Yeah, I know, but I
Retain-
want to see something on that. so.
Okay.
They have out there a sewer phosphorus copper pilot study that has a balance of $7,746 in there. Why wouldn't they transfer part of that?
Not sure.
Do they realize it's there?
They get those reports.
How much did you say was there?
7,746.12.
I'm not sure if he's combining that with this.
Well, that's what we need to know. Yeah, well, that's why I wanted to get this, to see what was still open.
Yeah.
Because I knew there was some for copper,
Mhm.
so that's. Well, I guess we'll probably. I don't know what the next one is. Number 8, even know what.
Do you know what RBC is?
It's those long trains that are outside of the sewer plant, those covered
Okay.
mechanical devices.
Yeah, it's mandated, so they have to do it
Yeah.
anyways.
I think one of
And
them
this
is not functional, and the DEP said if it's there,
Yeah.
it has to be functional.
Okay.
And I think this question had come up before. When you send these to Jeff, you can ask him, before, we always had to appropriate money, not transfer, but appropriate, so we want to make that.
Okay, I can check on that.
So on 3, which is a transfer appropriate, because I know one time it was questioned at town meeting, and it had been said that it should be appropriate, for them,
For them,
yes,
okay, all
just
right.
for them,
For the retained earnings,
yeah.
okay.
But I'm just saying,
All right. We'll check. We did it last year out of a
I
transfer.
know we did, and at the time, the mind wasn't working
Okay,
that
all
way,
right,
so.
we'll check it.
Today it's working good.
All right, we'll check it.
Okay, number 10, because the rest is gonna be their retained earnings.
Right,
And apparently they need the 2 wet end pump impellers, and,
Mhm.
right.
you know.
Okay, so OPEB, 25,000, that's pretty standard. Do you remember what we did last year, Jim?
25,000.
We just did 25 last year, too?
Since I started, we've done 25,000 the last 2 years, so.
Okay. 10, 11.
Maintenance. This is, isn't this in the selectmen's budget? You got the selectmen's budget? Can you see it, please?
Are you talking about number
I
11?
don't think it is. I think we did it through an article.
Yeah, I know it, but usually once it's an article, then if it's, if you're gonna continue to do it, then it should be a line expense.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm just saying,
it's the same thing with the maintenance of buildings, you know.
yeah, but that needs to eventually get.
I know.
Okay, I'm just
Yeah,
saying,
it's
I
just
just wanted to make
tight.
sure, I don't know why. So I think you wanna do it as an article this year, but next year it should be a line item,
Is that number 11?
yeah.
And the same for 12, for maintenance?
Yep. And next year should be a line item.
Number 13 is something that I'd like to see if we could talk about, to see if there's any support on it. If there's no support from here, then we won't even bring it forward to the selectmen. But, we have a building custodian here, who's doing a really good job. He uses his personal vehicle to get around to all 5 buildings. It's not like he's just in one building. And he will transport materials such as a vacuum or cleaning supplies within his vehicle. He does not have a uniform per se. He uses his own clothing. A lot of custodians, may get, T-shirts or sweatshirts or some type of clothing material that has the town's logo on it. I'd like to see if we could possibly fund a stipend, a small stipend for him to cover those expenses.
He hasn't been paid any mileage?
No.
I, it- he's going to work,
Correct.
and if for someone who's going to work, why would the town pay them for their travel?
The mileage,
I can
he
see
could get, he
mileage.
could get 70 cents a
Yeah,
mile, or
that's-
67 cents a mile,
I understand,
and he hasn't gotten anything. Nobody's
But
ever
But
had
I don't
anything.
understand the clothing thing.
Oh, it's just a
Well,
uniform.
but, okay, so.
The
th-
police
there-
get, let me just,
Go ahead.
she said uniforms, the police get a uniform allowance,
Mhm.
the fire get a uniform allowance, the sewer gets their uniforms cleaned, the highway gets their uniforms cleaned, so if you buy the guy a couple pairs of pants and a couple shirts, that's how I think of it.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I want to separate out there's 2 issues here. Let's talk, so we started with, let's go to the clothing.
Hmm?
He doesn't need an annual stipend for clothing to to that, certainly to not that amount, that's all I'm
Well, it's
saying.
together for both, that's what
Just
he said.
together
Okay.
to.
So I'm considering the two things individually. I don't mind if he wanted to get a protective clothing or a uniform stipend, to, certainly not anywhere near $1,000 a year. You know, like,
What kind of protective clothing?
Well, I mean, it's a uniform, so I mean, you know.
So he doesn't wreck his own clothes.
Doesn't recognize.
Yeah, okay, all right, I thought you meant
Yeah.
something else,
Because
I
he
didn't want to know.
uses cleaners to
Yeah,
clean
no,
the
I understand
bathroom
that, I
and the
just wanted to
toilets.
make sure
Yeah,
we were on the
or-
same page.
or if he needed to do something like really yucky for some
Yeah,
reason.
yeah, okay, I'm good, I just didn't know what you meant by that.
Get him a bunch
So,
of scissors.
That's a broad, that's a
Yeah.
broad
You know,
description.
so for example, you know, people in maintenance really should have steel-toed shoes.
Yeah.
You know, it could buy them a pair of boots, it could buy them, you know, some pants, it could buy
Safety
them
glasses,
some type of,
safety glasses.
you know, a reflective jacket that's,
Right,
you know,
or-
you're out there.
Or a warmer jacket for when he's outdoors and,
Mhm.
you know, it's
I
not his
definitely
own
think
thing.
mileage should be.
Yeah, no, I'm fine with the concept, I'm just,
It's a high
so,
number.
I think $300 a year for protective clothing / uniform is plenty.
Mhm.
That's just my,
Mhm.
and by the way, I think he's doing a great job too. He
Mhm.
seems like a,
What's the mileage after next year?
70.
$700.
so now what would, how many miles is that?
That's
I
1,000 miles, because that'd be the difference between 1,000.
Oh, I thought,
That's
Yeah.
1,000 miles.
what was it, he doesn't do 1,000 miles.
No, but
So,
again, the amount is up for discussion.
Yeah, okay.
You know,
Mhm.
and I think that, you know, there should be something there, whether it's, you know, 1,000, 750, 500, a starting point, because of the fact that he is using his own car, he's putting some materials
That
in
only
there.
equals 19 miles a week, and he goes, how many times do you go to the different buildings?
Oh, it's 19 miles.
Twice or 3 times a week.
So from here to my house is 3 miles, and he's
Yeah.
gotta go to the sewer plant.
Right.
And
so
back.
5, 10
So
miles.
there,
round trip,
just for
So
there.
of all the locations he does sewer, he
Yeah.
does senior center,
Highway.
he does highway, he does here, he does police and fire.
Oh,
So
it
police
is a
and
lot.
fire are probably the closest.
Yeah, but
you
it
know.
does add up.
700 and divided by 70 cents a mile, because that's what the new rate's gonna be
Mhm,
July
right.
1st. Oh, is 1,000 divided by 52,
Yeah.
19.23 miles.
So, so now that we're talking about this, I do feel pretty strongly that he should have a stipend for uniform and clothing, and he should have a stipend for mileage reimbursement for personal vehicle use. Because,
I agree.
because if we wanted to have a uniform, and we think that he should, then how do we know he's not just gonna use all the money for
But-
gas mileage?
So, yeah, what I think we could do,
Yeah,
because the facilities custodian does not have any expense account, okay?
okay,
So what I think we can do is put in facilities custodian supply expense, which would be for the uniforms,
sure,
and then put the stipend in custodian stipend for mileage.
Sure.
Be two
Yeah.
separate,
line items,
Yeah.
right, and the
Yeah.
supplies would be,
right.
But
Clothing.
we're clothing supplies, we're talking not cleaning
Not
supplies.
cleaning supplies.
right, well,
Right,
the
right.
cleaning supplies comes out of the Shepherd building,
Right,
Right,
right.
right,
But for future boards, they may say, well, you're supposed to buy
Yeah,
your
no,
supplies out of there. I think it
Right.
should be
No, clothing,
clothing supplies.
Right.
clothing and
so it
mileage.
should be an expense account as far
Yeah,
as I'm,
okay.
this way
Oh, I think
here,
that's very smart.
that way there, whatever he buys, that's what he's paid out of, and then you see how much he's bought and whatever, and he knows he's only got $300.
So are we gonna,
I think it should be broken up,
Sure.
307,
but, okay, so we're gonna create a line item going forward.
would be 2 line items.
2 line items going forward.
So it'd be an article this year, and then next year it'll be in the budget, right?
So then we would change this, instead of funding an annual stipend, we would
Mhm.
just fund a stipend.
Yep.
Right,
Mhm.
Yeah, be 2 separate articles.
I think that's good though, I think that's
Yeah.
a very good idea.
It's gonna be 2 separate articles.
Okay.
Wait, why
and-
would it be two separate articles?
Because it, well,
Oh, for each line?
right, that's
Okay,
what I'm
okay.
saying. But this way here, then people are gonna say, well, how much clothing you think is, how much is it gonna be for mileage?
Right, they
How
should
much-
be, they're so different that they should
Yes,
be distinct.
separated,
Right.
yeah.
And it also encourages them to actually purchase the
Right.
clothing.
That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
so are we okay with 300 clothing, 700 mileage?
You know, and that's the thing, if, you know, and somebody says
Right.
mileage and say it's, 20 miles a week. And say, yeah, he goes from here to the sewer plant and the highway and downtown and stuff, 2 times a week.
Mhm.
So now I have another question. Is there anyone else in town who gets reimbursed for mileage versus a stipend to cover mileage? You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's in everybody's budget,
Yeah, I know the
The town
assessors,
account-
we had,
That's-
But-
but it's in their
But
expense account.
it sounds like he could probably justify
it's-
$1,400 for mileage. If he's driving 40 miles a week, or 38 miles a week, he would in effect be owed $1,400 instead of $700. That, you see what I'm saying? It's
yeah,
a,
is it enough?
is it enough? That's all I'm
I think we
saying.
should try with 700.
I think
Go
this is a
from
good
there.
starting point,
Okay.
and I think, that, Mike will be appreciative of this, and,
We can have him and do it as the stipend, then he can keep track every week of what
Mhm.
his mileage is.
Right.
Mhm.
And then, for next year, then we know,
if he
Yeah.
goes over, then we can increase it.
correct.
If he
Yeah,
doesn't go
okay.
over it, then he's not gonna get an increase.
Right. It'd be $700, and then
Right.
he'll get whatever, usually it's a month, or he can do
Right.
it twice a year, or, yeah.
Yeah.
every-
Again, I'm not opposing the
No,
concept.
yes.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I just wanted, I
Yeah,
am down.
and I think how it's different from other people in other departments is that this gentleman uses his vehicle every day as
Yeah.
part of his work.
The rest is usually just where you go to a
You know,
class or seminar. or
Sure.
something.
I may
Right.
go to a class in Boston, but that may be like once every couple months,
Yeah.
This guy uses it every day.
So again, just, it's kind of a, I don't know if it's a legality thing or not, but if he is using his car and we're classifying it as work-related,
It's good.
is he due the 70 cents a mile?
He hasn't asked for it, but,
Wouldn't
No,
even-
I-
we gave the animal control a stipend when she used her vehicles for dogs.
Okay, I'm not opposed to this, I'm just
Right.
saying,
yes,
What's the right way
And then
to-
we got her a car.
I'm just saying,
Right.
what's the right way to implement it so that we don't have to come back next year and be like, oh, well, we should have done it this way? I'm just trying to think,
I think
Think it through.
this is the best
Because she
way.
had an animal control vehicle stipend of $1,200.
okay,
That's how we did it with her, she got $100 a month.
okay. Ask and answer.
Yep.
I'm just thinking out loud here. 'cause
Yeah.
it- Okay,
So I think this is reasonable, and I think we can accomplish this through two articles,
That's how I would do it.
and, we'll get that cleared up.
so 3 and 7.
3
Yeah,
and 7, yeah.
I'm good,
yeah.
I'm good.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for putting up with me, I'm just trying to think it through
That's why we're here.
Yeah.
as we're seeing it.
He does seem very happy walking the halls. He's the friendliest guy I've ever seen
Yeah,
in my
he's
life.
doing a great job,
Yeah.
and there's no question about it.
Yeah, no, he's model employee. Okay, so that's just a pro forma for 14 with the transportation?
Yeah, if we get any money, they get any money back, they
Yeah.
gotta give it to us.
Now, 15, I don't know if you have to reauthorize the spending limits. I think they went back and forth on this, but I guess it doesn't hurt to put them in there.
Cable advisory is no longer.
It's no longer? Okay. Even though we increased it last year?
No longer, because we had to change it and make them they have a revolving,
Oh.
special revenue account.
Okay, so get rid of them?
Yep.
Okay. All right. The other ones look okay?
Yeah, 35, 2, 7, and 6, yeah.
Okay.
But you can ask
Leave
Jeff,
them.
because I think one year we didn't put it on, and then I don't know if DOR said something, that it's supposed to be there, but then DOR first said, no, you don't have to put it
They
on.
were back and forth.
Him and Jeff were,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'll check with them, but if we don't, then we'll take it off, but if we do, we'll leave it on.
Okay, the other one's just,
Protocol,
Yeah.
protocol.
and then transfer free cash 30 for the cost of installation, 6 new gas monitoring ports at the transfer station, so this is a DEP requirement.
Yeah.
I don't think that that would classify as a capital expense, so that's why I automatically put it on.
I agree.
Oh, yeah, this is gonna be an article to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum in the highway payroll line with the highway to allow part-time on-call employees. My opinion is, I'm just gonna say this, cause well, we should have them come in to talk about that.
I was gonna say, did we do highway?
No.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, we looked at highway, but we didn't have any question at that point. We looked at it quick. But I think he needs to come in.
Okay.
The next one, the highway equipment fund, that's the money that he gets for plowing up at the schools. It goes into receipts reserved for appropriation, and then.
I'll change the wording on that one.
What's that?
I gotta put receipts reserved for appropriation.
Well, it's highway equipment, receipts reserved for appropriation.
Yeah, I'll put that in there.
So that's how he gets the money, cause he plows for the Quabog and then he gets that and then it has to go. And then this is the fireworks for next year.
And then there was two articles that are not on here that I'm gonna put on here for Adam. One is,
Annual or special,
it said either or, so I guess.
whatever, then you're gonna decide where they're going, so.
I think they should go on the annual,
Okay.
8,000 for the purchase of two sets of gear, and 5,000 for advanced life support, well, we just did that, right?
We just increased it, yeah,
Advanced life support.
unless he needs it for this year, then that's the special.
Oh, yeah, then that would be for the special, yeah,
The 5,000's for the special.
5,000's for the
Tell me,
special.
tell me again.
So 8,000 to purchase new turnout gear, helmets and boots. And then 5,000, that would be for the annual, and then 5,000 would be for the special for the advanced life support for fiscal year '25.
That's it? Doesn't seem like very much.
Yeah,
That's all I've gotten so far.
Okay.
There are quite a few articles that I received for capital planning.
yeah, cause the highway had, I didn't bring mine. You got your highway, cause it was capital planning. I didn't take, I just. took
Highway's
mine.
got some, Parks has had one. Adam, the fire department has one.
Right.
So, I mean, if, I'm guessing that capital planning is going to be meeting soon.
I'll push Rich to
Yeah,
make
and you
a,
have to have the meeting downstairs too.
So,
all I've got for highway is the budget.
There was something, there was a.
there was a couple of capital improvement requests for
Maybe-
highway.
Maybe I didn't get them, I don't know. I'd have to look.
They have not come to finance committee yet, because they're
Oh,
going to
okay.
capital planning.
Okay.
And then, now, that's the other thing. As capital planning finishes their review of their articles, do you wanna review capital planning articles as well?
He said we did last year. I don't.
I thought you guys did last year.
I think we looked at them,
Hold on,
I-
I'm right here. So this would be capital planning. Capital planning, yes,
yeah, we looked at them.
and we voted. Capital planning
So
and
either
finance
support or
committee
not support,
recommends,
yeah.
yeah. That
Okay,
was
so
it.
I'll let them have their meeting and then review them and then send them to you, is that a good strategy you wanna do?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, we gotta, as a matter of fact, I sent last year's capital plan to Jim Dusty,
Mhm.
so. he-
It's on the web too.
Yeah, and, I haven't heard back from him, but yeah, I'll bug Rich and ask him.
Yeah, because we gotta get this done.
Yeah.
He's only got a few weeks,
Right, when's our
because
drop dead for sending it off?
I
for
think we're
print?
meeting with the selectmen the first Saturday in April.
Today's already.
Is it the first or the second, the fifth or the 12th? You got the schedule?
12th.
The
Yeah,
12th.
second, okay.
So that's, she can't do the 12th. So that's, if you don't count this week, that's 4 weeks,
All right,
because it has to go out to print.
just, we'll talk about capital offline, because that's not pertinent to us right this moment. All I was gonna say was, I don't anticipate it being too onerous. Last year, we were reinstituting things. We spent a lot of our time just figuring out how to do a capital plan. The decisions themselves should be relatively straightforward this year, but I don't wanna speak on behalf of the capital planning committee without meeting. So, if there's nothing else on the articles, any new business? I have none. Jim, anything that you want to address? And so our next meeting date and time, same time next week,
Yeah, so it'll be the 18th.
18th at 3 PM here.
And it'll be accept minutes, open meeting, accept minutes, can I see that, just take a
Sure.
picture? Everything will stay the same, right?
I think so.
Town meeting,
Yeah.
new
The
business.
revenue side of things.
Oh, that's right, he wanted to add in,
Um,
hold on, let me just do this first.
I don't know if we're gonna, we currently have the auditors in here, our annual audit,
Yep.
nothing out of the ordinary, but our annual audit. And the accountant is going to be away next week, so I may get delayed,
But he
one
wants-
more week on the
Okay.
revenue side of things.
Just let us know when it's ready, you
Yeah.
know.
Okay. And then, were we supposed to get some input from assessor office?
She's gonna get back, I talked to her the other day.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're supposed to get something back.
Yeah, something's due there.
Yeah, she did send some stuff,
She'll provide additional information
Right,
regarding the
but she
class
did.
fees.
Yeah, okay,
and then she took everything away, and then I went and saw her
okay,
yesterday.
okay.
Was I here yesterday? Yes, today's only Tuesday. Yeah, and, I talked to her about some of the stuff, so we should be getting something,
Okay,
because she just took them all away. And it's
Mhm.
like, you can't take them all away, because they're gonna definitely have a new assessor, there's one running,
right,
but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So-
yeah.
So, I talked to her
Okay.
yesterday. So then the following week, we'll put on, Jim's gonna bring us revenue information.
you can,
You want that?
there's
So-
one less thing on the agenda.
Yep, I'll make a motion to adjourn at 4:12.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned.